Okay, so let's move to the next part of this WTIR playlist, and here we are going to discuss about the DNS. That is the most important concept, and that this is the concept, this is the thing that you must know, that how what is this DNS, how this basically works. Okay, so let's start about what is DNS. In previous video we have discussed about the web graph, and we have also discussed the case study of Apache web server. In today's video I will be discussing with you the domain name system. So as you can see in my notes, domain name system we are going to discuss. In short, it is known as DNS. Okay, so this is the full form is domain name system. Now what is this basically? So just read the statement. User can easily remember the name but unable to remember the IP address. IP address is a dynamic complex to remember. See, by reading these two lines you are unable to understand what is this DNS, that is domain name system, but yeah, I can tell you. So just try to understand these two lines, that users can easily remember the name but unable to remember the IP address. So our user, like we as a user can easily remember the name. Okay, so remembering the name for us as a user is easy in comparison of remembering the IP address. So first of all, you should know what is this IP address. So IP address stands for Internet Protocol Address, and basically it is the address that is used to identify a node in a particular computer network. So basically IP address basically changes due to the location. Okay, they are dynamic, they are not static. So IP address basically is in the form of decimals. Okay, it is in the form of decimals. So remembering this, and it is a 32-bit number. So remembering 32-bit address, so remembering this IP address is very much complex for us, because remembering these digits in comparison of remembering the name is easier. Okay, so we as a user can easily remember the name, but remembering the particular IP address, I can give you example like 3254 152316745 like this. So this is like a IP address. Okay, I just make it a random IP address, but yeah, this can be IP address. So remembering this particular this decimal number, that is IP address, is a little bit complex task for us. Okay, we can't remember, like we can remember few IP addresses, but it is very impossible to us for remembering the huge IP addresses or number of IP addresses. Okay, but we can easily remember the name. Like example, you can, if you want to go to the Google's website, so what you have to do, you just go to the browser and just type www.google.com. so that is very much easy. So what you have remembered, google.com, easy. If you want to use Facebook, you want to go to the Facebook's website, so what will you do, you will do facebook.com, www.facebook.com. so what you are remembering for going to the Facebook website, nothing but the name, that is facebook.com. और अगर मान लो आपको और कोई पर्टिकुलर वेबसाइट पे जाना है, किसी भी वेबसाइट पे जाना है, किसी भी XYZ वेबसाइट पे जाना है, तो क्या डालना है आपको, मान लो कोई XYZ वेबसाइट का एग्जांपल लेते हैं, कोई XYZ वेबसाइट है, आपको उस पे जाना है, तो क्या करोगे, ब्राउजर में जाओगे, आप डालोगे www.xyz.com, सिंपल। मान लो आपको गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया की वेबसाइट पे जाना है, सो व्हाट विल यू डू, यू विल जस्ट गो एंड विल टाइप mygov.in or like this. Okay, indian government.in, Indian organization, or like you will just type name and you will directly go to that particular website. But see, if these names were not there, so what you need to enter, so you need to enter the IP addresses. Like if you want to access the Facebook, so if these the concept of name is not there, so you are going to write the IP address for the Facebook's website, and that is very much complex, and that is very much, you can say, difficult to remember that particular IP address. So here comes into the picture, that is domain name system, or in short we say DNS. What this DNS will do, this will basically convert your name. Like you want to go to the Facebook website and you are typing www.facebook.com. So here DNS comes into the picture, and the DNS will just convert this your name, that is www.facebook.com. In technical term we say it a URL. So this domain name system will convert this URL into a particular IP address of that particular website whose name is it was there. Okay, so what's the main role of DNS? DNS will convert this name of a particular website, or you can say will convert this URL to its to its IP address, to its particular IP address, and then it will redirect you to that particular website. So this is the basically work of DNS, and this will help user, as I told you. Just you can read the another point, that is IP addresses are basically dynamic. Okay, dynamic means they change, and how they change, when we'll discuss about the IP address, we will discuss it in detail when we will be discussing the computer network subject. But you can understand IP address is basically dynamic. Why? Because they are changing due to the location. Like if I am sitting in India, Haryana, I am sitting right now in Faridabad, Haryana. So my system having a particular IP address. But yeah, if I will change my location, so my IP address will definitely change. So IP addresses are basically dynamic. Okay, so they are complex to remember, but as a human, as a user, we can easily remember the names like google.com, facebook.com, instagram.com, or irctc.com, mygov.com, mygov.in, and all that. So we can easily remember these names, but remembering the IP addresses are little bit difficult to us. So that's why this domain name or DNS comes into the picture. What it will do, it will basically convert that name into the particular IP address, and then will redirect to you that particular website on which you want to go. Okay, so this is about DNS. So let's see the diagram. Here is your domain name. Okay, see, here it is your domain name, here it is a resolver. Now what this resolver will do, basically always resolves from right to left. So this resolver basically resolve your name DNS, like www.google.com. so now this resolver is there in domain name system that will be going to resolve this. So it can be iterative, it can be in the form of iterative form, or it can be in recursive form. We will discuss in detail. Now after resolver, root server comes. Now root server is basically all over the world. Like there are 13 root servers all over the world. There are basically total 13 root servers. Example, like few examples are .org, .com, .in, or .mil, .edu. Okay, these are some journal servers, or you can say country servers. Okay, like .in is for some institution, .com for some community, .organization is basically for organization, .edu for some education, and all that. .mil basically it is related to military and all that. So this root server, you can see example like facebook.com. So this .com is basically a root server, and these are some facts, like 13 root servers are there all over the world. Okay, after that, authoritative server. Okay, what is authoritative server? So this is basically a simple diagram that you can draw in your exam if this came into 5 marks, 10 marks. So what will you do? You basically write down the whole story I told you previously in this domain name system, that what happens from starting to the end, how this DNS convert the basically, and we are as a human unable not able to remember these IP addresses. We can easily remember the name. So just write down the theory and just make this diagram, you will get the full marks. After this, see next point. Here comes the note. Although we do not need root server every time, because ISP has its own cache memory where IP addresses are stored. See, although all the time we don't need, every time we don't need this root server. Why? Because ISP, that is internet service provider, they have their own cache memory. Cache memory, you can say a fastest memory but having a small size. So they have their cache memory, also known as buffer, where these IP addresses are stored. Okay, so all time we don't need this root server, because ISP has their own its cache memory where these IP addresses are stored. Now I told you that this resolver can be in recursive form or iterative form. Now, so now here comes the recursive approach. In recursive approach, this is the diagram. This is a simple diagram. This is the machine on host. This is basically a local cache, or you can say DNS resolver. This is root server. This is top level domain server. This is authoritative server. So basically this is the internal working that you need not to understand, basically, because this is the comes into the deep understanding if we are diving deep into this. So basically just remember this diagram if it came here in exam, and if you remember it, so just make that root uh, that this resolver basically can be in the two form, that is iterative or recursive. So you can easily make this diagram. Just remember this. This is the recursive approach of resolver. Okay, now comes the second approach, that is the iterative approach. Now you can make this diagram. So the difference is that it is going recursively, like 1 2 3 and then 4, and then starting from the end again. But here iterative form, like 1 2, then again coming back 3 4 5 6. So this is a simple, you can see there is nothing much more in this. You can just go through this on my notes and you will easily remember that. But I am again telling you that this is not very much important, that's recursive or approach or iterative approach. But yeah, if you want to gain good marks, so you can just make these diagrams in your exams. Okay, Now here comes the node, and that is the main important thing. DNS basically uses this UDP protocol. UDP is basically user datagram protocol. Here datagram means the data packets in which the data is basically sent. Okay, so this DNS, that is domain name system, basically uses a protocol that is known as UDP, that is user datagram protocol. This you should know. Okay, and if you write this thing in your exam, so that will be a great impact on the examiner. Okay, so now basically comes the another topic, that is URL frontier. Okay, so URL frontier, basically I told you URL is basically www.google.com. It is basically a simple URL that stands for universal resource locator. Okay, so there are two main considerations for URL frontier. First is politeness, and second is freshness. Politeness means do not hit a web server too frequently. Okay, politeness means the crawl, basically this whole thing is basically related to crawler. Okay, crawler मैंने आपको पिछली वीडियो में बताया हुआ है, ठीक है? If you have not seen, so you go to the previous video, you can easily find out. So two main conditions is followed that do not hit a web server too frequently. Freshness is basically crawl some pages more often than others. Okay, so crawl some pages more often than going to the new pages. Okay, so example is news website, university web. This URL frontier is basically a simple, or you can say a if it came in your exam, so it will be of 1 or 2 marks. That is not you can say a carry a heavy markage, but yeah, you should know. Now there are some basic crawler operation and crawling picture and these. So we'll discuss this in the another lecture and another part. After that we'll discuss some question that what any crawler should do, why crawler must avoid trying to fetch all the web pages, and all that we will discuss. And we will also discuss the web crawling techniques, that is very much important to know. So this was all about that, and you can go through these DNS notes. If you have any issue, you can tell me in the comment section. Till then, thank you.